Take 3 Wrestling Podcast coming to you Thursday, July 29th. I'm your host, Earnestly, Christian, alongside Mike Vernier, Joe Lopez. Folks, we're going to try to squeeze a 1 hour show in as much as we can because Mike's at work tonight.
I believe in us. We can do this.
Oh, I believe in us too. Absolutely.
That means no time to waste. Like, Ernest, you're wasting your words. Come on.
Mike, how you doing?
We're more over than the fucking finish to last night's 10-man tag match.
Okay, so let's start the show off. We're gonna do something different tonight. We're gonna start off with the wrestlers of the week. Michael, let's go.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that I get to start?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me bring up my list because it's in my folder. We got to remember I'm doing this on my phone. So, all right, wrestlers of the week. Last week, Nikki was the number one compadre of this. So for this week's show, my top three.
How's that working out for her this week?
Dude.
Still the women's champion.
That's right. Let him know.
All right, number 3, I have the current and reigning IWGP Heavyweight Champion after an absolute banger of a match on Sunday against Hiroshi Tanahashi. My number 3 spot goes to Shingo Takagi. In the 2 spot, I have the new IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. That match was even better than the Shingo match, I think.
It was. I agree with you.
And, of course, number 1 this week with a bullet because of the situation that happened at Game Changer Wrestling, the new GCW World Champion, Mr. Woo Woo Woo, Matt Cardona.
Joe, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Mine are very similar to Mike's, only in a different order.
You have your list on you? Nice.
What?
You have your list on you? That's awesome. Your list.
I mean, I remember it. We're required, right? It's part of the job.
Yeah.
So my number one was Mike's number 3, who is Shingo. Because in my mind, anytime you beat Hiroshi Tanahashi in an IWGP Heavyweight Championship title match, you deserve to be number 1. It's like beating John Cena for a world title in WWE, defending the title against him successfully. That means if Roman Reigns ends up defending against him successfully for SummerSlam week, I will stick to my words and he'll be my number 1. So yeah, Shingo's my number 1 for this week.
My daddy's my number 1.
No.
My number 2 is none other than Charlotte Flair, who went out on Raw this past week, which arguably Raw is still the top wrestling show in America on TV every week, if not just for longevity reasons. Maybe not. I think still in the ratings even, technically, but at least for longevity reasons. She was in the main event, and she got a win over the Raw Women's Champion, Nikki Ash. I think that matters, so she makes my list for that reason. Number 3 for me is Matt Cardona, who Mike just mentioned, because why not? Honestly, he basically broke the internet. I'll talk more about that later. Wink. So, he basically broke the internet, and he's good at that. And go him, living the boyhood dream, as it were.
I'm going to go 3-1. Number 3 is Roman Reigns. He wasn't in the ring this week, but he's a sex joke on SmackDown on Fox. What year are we in now? 2021? 1998? Really? Are you sure? A sex joke?
What did he even say?
Missionary position? Over and over and over. You didn't see what he said on SmackDown?
I don't watch SmackDown usually. I don't have time.
That's too bad for you.
Yeah.
I love that for you. I'm sorry. But Roman Reigns number 3 for me. Number 2, I'm not a fan of death matches, but Chris Jericho, man, it's a good match. Him and Nick Gage last night.
That was actually a fun one. I just watched it earlier today.
I was putting either of them in my top 3 a little bit. Nick Cage, because he's part of that MDK.
Yeah. Well, Nick Gage, you expected. He does
that murder, death, kill gang.
Yeah, but Chris Jericho doing that shit at 50 years old, yeah, I'll give him credit for that.
I do appreciate that we all had someone on our list who defeated Nick Gage this week.
Yeah. And number 1, of course, look, I don't follow independent wrestling as much as you guys do. I'm trying to, but if you get my attention, GCW get my attention, I mean, you're doing something good. Matt Cardona, number 1 for me.
You ain't gonna pay attention.
Well, yeah, had internet bucking buzz.
So 2/3 of your list pinned Nick Gage this week. Basically, if you beat Nick Gage, you might get on Ernest's list.
That's right.
Facts.
That's right.
He doesn't know anything about the indies.
That's right, exactly, and that's the fucked up part too. You know what I mean? So
I will say real fast that the thing about that match, because I'm with you, Ernest. Like I don't usually like the death match stuff or whatever. The thing about the match on AEW, Chris Jericho doesn't usually do matches like that. So his reactions to everything, his selling of getting hit with the light tubes and going through the glass and all of that, and that's what made that match for me.
Absolutely.
Because he looked the way I felt watching hit.
Yeah. So that's this week's. Well, what's the tally this week, Michael?
All right, so we have two people now in first. Nikki, Almost Superhero, and Matt Cardona both with 10 points. Biggie and Shingo both have 7 points. They're tied for third. And in fifth place is Roman Reigns with 6 points. There are six other good points.
Yeah, raise your hand if you had Nikki ASH and fucking Matt Cardona in your top number one on any wrestler of the week list in August. Oh, late July, August. Come on.
I'm curious to see how long it lasts.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll at least last one more week because the most points that anyone can get is 10, and I don't think Matt Cardona is going to be doing anything necessary before then.
I don't think Nikki Ash is going to do anything all that impressive before then. She's probably just going to lose to Charlotte again on Monday.
You know what? I might put her on third on mine just to be in first place by herself, just to spite you two.
All right, let's get to the first topic of the show. I think this is Mike's topic. Mike, let's go.
Yeah. All right. So my topic for this week's show, a lot of people have been mentioning the fact of the best in the world, whether that be CM Punk, whether that be Daniel Bryan. Every news source on the internet in wrestling has mentioned it, that there's at least been a conversation. Now, my question for you guys here, and I'll let you guys go first, then I'll chime in, is if AEW does not bring in Punk and or Daniel Bryan, does it do the company more harm than good?
If they don't bring them in.
If it doesn't happen.
So actually what's funny is we talked about this a little bit on the Daily podcast earlier today, Ernest and I think it might not even be the first time that I brought it up on the Daily one because, I'm the Iron Man of the Daily podcast. I'm there every day pretty much. But it's always the gay guy you can depend on. That's all I'm saying. It's just so all I'm saying is I think that at this point, because of the fact that it's been so widely reported, that there's been so many different internet sites talking about it, there's been so many different rumors, yada, yada, yada. At this point, if it doesn't happen, it's going to make AEW look awful. Because at the end of the day, wrestling fans, they have this thing, I don't know what it is. We all like fantasy booking. We all like doing those kinds of things. We also like getting in our heads about stuff that we get convinced is going to happen. And then if it doesn't happen, we get upset. And that's a thing. Hi, Sophie. That's a thing that happens every single time. It happens. It's happened all the time. It happens with WWE all the time. How often? Look, right now, case in point, everyone's convinced that The Rock is coming in for WrestleMania. Everyone is convinced that we're going to get The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I guarantee you, if Rock doesn't come in for WrestleMania, you're going to have a third of the audience at the very least being like, oh man, whatever match Roman Reigns is in sucks because The Rock's not in it. Even though there's been no actual word that The Rock is coming in. Right. It's something that wrestling fans do. And the sad part is it ends up making the company look bad. In the end, AEW shouldn't actually look bad because they don't get to sign those two guys if that ends up happening. But because it's been so hyped up and so built up, anything else that they deliver at this point is going to feel like a 20% off DVD sale from Ring of Honor.
Right. But, Joe, whose fault is that, though, as the fan? Because, again, WWE didn't promise you this. You're hearing fucking Meltzer and Brian Alvarez and these other fucking stooges on the internet saying it. Now, right. In the case of what Mike said, his question, it's really bad because now, as of last night, AEW is playing into it now. Now they're playing into it within their programming now.
So, but if you were them, do you think it's wrong for them to play into it? Would you rather just ignore it when everyone's talking about it?
No, you play into it and you give them as much leash as you can. Because who's to say, okay, they don't have a contract yet. Who's to say they don't? But knowing that everyone is already talking about it, why not just kind of subtly pun it and address it little by little? And then if something comes through and you get one of them, awesome. If not, then, the best in the world is now insert new person here. You bring out somebody and you fuck the fan. You make whoever that isn't Daniel Bryan or CM Punk now the biggest heel in fucking AEW.
Now, I will say this. It wasn't that long ago. It was only a few months ago where they were teasing a big name showing up in AEW, and it ended up being Christian Cage. And I think the conversation that we had then, I know that the three of us agreed on this, and I feel like it was kind of the general consensus of a lot of people, was that Christian Cage showing up is awesome. Christian Cage is an amazing talent, but the way it was hyped up, it felt like CM Punk was coming in, or Brock Lesnar was coming in, or someone like that. And that's the funny thing, like, at the end of the day, like, now, because the rumors are so strong about these specific names, like, look, if CM Punk and Daniel Bryan don't show up, but for some odd, crazy reason Brock Lesnar shows up, I don't think anyone's going to be that angry. If these guys don't show up and we find out that Juventud Guerrera is getting a full-time contract, it's not going to be the same thing.
No, I'm with you. I feel like the WWE did this. They can stave off criticism. You know, they'll probably get a little bit like a lot of, you know, no matter what they do, the people shit on it, but, you know, they'll survive. AEW has more risk because they're a newer company and they're still trying to prove something here. So if for some reason and now they're teasing it now within storylines, Darby Allin, you know, say what he said in his promo last. If they don't come through,
neither one of them shows up. Neither one of them shows up. The new best in the world is Scorpio Sky.
God. Can it at least be Too Cold Scorpio? He's doing out flips and stuff at like 54.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Darby Allin's feuding with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. So why not make him the most fucking booed person in AEW? I mean, make it. If you're not going to get one of the two of them, turn this into something that actually becomes a storyline.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're in damage control mode if you don't have one of the two of them under contract already. So you have a backup plan. Let's make this person, insert name here, whether it be Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Christian Cage, Nick Gage. I don't give a fuck who it is. Name them the best in the world. Have them come out and be like, I am the best in the world, and beat Darby Allin in 7 minutes or whatever it is. And, okay, well, now you have Darby Allin, and you have this person who's now the biggest heel in the company, not named Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Right.
Here's a question for you guys, though, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Taking it in a little bit of a different direction. If you're CM Punk right now, or you're Bryan Danielson right now, and you're not signed to AEW, and you're hearing all the rumors the same way we're hearing all the rumors, are you on the phone with Tony Khan being like, so Tony, let's talk? Because everyone already thinks I'm coming to work for your company, so what are you going to do for me? Like, I mean, would that be you if you were in their position right now?
Punk, yes. Bryan, no.
Why? Sophie, go lay
Bryan,
down.
no, because
Bryan,
no, because Bryan's been an in-ring performer the last 3 to 4 years. He could get a reduced dates and reduce everything from Vince if he really wanted to be a professional wrestler still. I don't think he has to worry about the raking anyone over the coals to get what Bryan wants. Punk, on the other hand, hasn't wrestled in 5+ years, not in ring shape. I mean, I think at this point, if it's, you know, what are you going to do for me? It more Punk is going to try to get as much as he can. Where Bryan is, if Bryan wants to wrestle, Bryan can go anywhere and wrestle.
Yeah,
true. But that's the thing, though. Bryan can go anywhere to wrestle. But I remember, I think you were telling me yesterday, Mike, that like some of the rumors about that there's a rumor out there. It's all rumors right now until these guys actually show up in AEW. It's a rumor, or show up anywhere. It's a rumor. But there's a rumor that Bryan has a contract where in it gives him the right to go wrestle in Japan. And it gives him the right to only work like X number of days and be making the same kind of money he was making, if not more. And all of that kind of stuff, which he wouldn't get from WWE. There's no scenario where WWE is going to be like, yeah, Daniel Bryan, go ahead and go wrestle with New Japan. But
Japan, no.
That could happen with AEW. Huh?
Japan, no, but he could definitely get less dates. They're only wrestling 3 days a week.
Yeah. No, he could definitely get less dates. I mean, look, they're doing it with John Cena. They're willing to do it with a lot of guys. But we all know also, well, at least you and I know, Mike, Ernest, get educated.
Yeah,
Daniel Bryan is someone, Bryan Danielson is someone who actually takes the art of wrestling very seriously. The fact that like he staved off entering the WWF as the WWE as a system for as long as he did was because he wanted to travel the world. He was making the kind of money where he didn't need to be in WWE in order to be a success. He was happy going to Japan. He was happy being the top guy in Ring of Honor. He was happy being the main guy on the independent wrestling scene. And now he's spent a decade basically being the top guy in WWE or one of the top guys in WWE. So I don't think it's crazy to think that Bryan Danielson is now like, you know what? I'm ready to go back in the opposite direction. I'm ready to like be a top guy in Japan. Where, to be honest, the last time that he was wrestling in New Japan, if you were a wrestler from America, you weren't getting anywhere near the IWGP Heavyweight title unless your name was Brock Lesnar or Kurt Angle. This was before Kenny Omega was the champion. This was before AJ Styles was the champion, before Jay White was the champion. I know, I just named two guys that aren't from America, but you get my point. They're non-Japanese wrestlers. They're gaijin, or however you say that. So, like, now we're in a world where Daniel Bryan could show up in New Japan and actually reasonably win that god-ugly IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So
There's a 0% chance he holds that title this year.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Let's look at something that nobody's thinking about here. Wife, 2 kids, COVID. We're in August.
I like here. At least this year. Maybe next year we'll talk about it.
Yeah, maybe he's someone who fights for the title at Wrestle Kingdom, but he's gonna go put his ass on the line, fly to Japan, have to quarantine for 2 weeks, be away from his wife and his 2 kids, one of them being less than a year old. He's gonna do it over. Let's see, it's August right now, so it'd be October. So it means he'd be probably there for Thanksgiving and potentially for Christmas. That's a 0% chance that a father of 2 is missing Christmas to be a wrestler in Japan when he could be working the same amount of dates for Vince McMahon for at least 1 more year. Unity Sunday, 1-year contract.
I mean, I guess like I wouldn't be shocked to see it happen.
You're going to take the belt off of Shingo to put it on Bryan.
I mean, look, they
guy
hot
who
potato
can't
that belt
really be
around
over
anyway. The
there.
only reason that Shingo's the champion right now, and you know me, I love Shingo. I'm happy that he's there. The only reason he's the champion right now is because Kota got injured. And the only reason that Kota was ever the champion was because someone else got injured. No. I'm sorry. Shingo's the champion because Ospreay got injured. Ospreay was the champion because Ibushi got injured. It's been a shit show in terms of that title this year.
Yes, but at least Will Ospreay was located in Japan.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like I wouldn't shock me to see them take the belt off of Shingo because at the end of the day, he only became champion by chance.
If you told me that he was going to win the IWGP US title from Lance Archer, I would say yeah, like 90%. I just don't see him in the next 3 months going to Japan, quarantining for however long, winning the title, and then not being there to defend it, and then have to fly out right after Christmas for Wrestle Kingdom.
I mean, yeah, no, you're probably right because of all the
With
COVID
all the
stuff.
quarantines and all that bullshit.
No, you're probably right because of all the COVID stuff. If COVID wasn't a factor, I think that it would be a definite.
I would say that he had a 35 to 40% chance to win the IWGP Heavyweight title if COVID wasn't a thing. Because you'd have to get him into a feud. You'd have to get it where it made sense, and then you're probably you'd be looking at October.
I feel like you're overestimating the booking of New Japan.
G1 Climax is still coming up.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, but 9 times out of 10, the way a challenger happens in New Japan is he shows up after the last title match and says, "Hey, I want a title shot."
Yes,
so I mean that could happen at any given time.
That would have had to have been right now because it's Evil, and then you go into G1.
True.
I'm like 90% sure
I mean,
go from Evil to G1, and Shingo's gonna be in G1.
True.
So I mean, that's gonna chalk up the back half of the year. That's why I was saying if he would have debuted on Sunday after Wrestle Grand Slam and he would have been the next challenger, then yeah, that makes sense that he would have a shot. But now at this point, the earliest that I think Shingo's really going to defend the title again would be after Evil would be Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, unless because traditionally they don't really defend it in like December or anything.
No, that'd be the end of G1.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really funky right now. That whole New Japan's kind of just in a funky place right now, in my opinion.
We're definitely in a funky place because G1's normally the summer and it gets us through the summer, but unfortunately now it's the fall winter.
Yeah. Second year in a row.
Trash.
All right,
Let's move on.
all right, let's move on. It's time for Take 3 trivia. So this week's match.
There's less chance. There's more of a chance that this question is related to a Saturday night's main event than there is Daniel Bryan winning the IWGP Heavyweight title.
Facts.
That's cute. That's cute. Except it's not. So that's cute. But go ahead. Anyway, guys, let's go to a trivia question of the week. I can't fucking talk at 11 o'clock at night.
You never can. It's okay.
It's okay. I know. Anyway, here we go. I guess the wagers now. I guess.
Read the question first, then we wager, then we give you the answers.
Okay, here we go. This wrestler won the third Andre Giant Battle Royal at WrestleMania 32, and the clock starts now. Did you hear the music, by the way?
I do hear the
Yeah, you know what I just had to do? I had to stop myself from grabbing my cell phone because I didn't want you to think I was Googling it, but a really hot guy just texted me and I was going to respond.
I'm watching your ass, motherfucker.
No, you're ruining my dating life right now because you think I'm going to cheat. So, whatever.
It's okay, buddy. Okay, so I guess give me the wagers here.
I'm only wagering 100 because I'm not confident in my answer.
You're so cheap.
So, wait, you said this was the third Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
Yeah, at WrestleMania 32.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to wager 300 in honor of the third
Mike,
WrestleMania Battle Royal.
Mike, no. So how do we do this now to make sure no one's cheating, whatever?
Me and Joe will give our answers, then you'll tell us who the correct answer is.
Okay, Joe, what's your answer?
My answer?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Cesaro.
Okay. Mike?
I'm going to go with the former King of the Ring, the Constable Baron Corbin.
Joe is wrong, Mike is right.
Damn.
Woo! Let's go. I remember that one.
I couldn't remember the order of who won what where. I'm gonna text the hot guy back now for the record.
All right, let's get to our next topic because remember we're doing.
Hey, Mike.
Go ahead, Mike.
Joe gets to ask the trivia question next week.
Yes.
1,300 points. I have 900, and Joe has now 800. Right?
Correct.
Yeah,
it's in the
sounds
log.
right.
Okay, so let's get to the next topic.
Mike is killing us, basically.
Yeah, fucking.
Ship it. I'm the trivia master.
Hey, at least our large head is good for something, you know. Fucking information, you know. It's all good.
I'm just glad he's messaging the hot guy back.
Are you in the car?
He lives here in the complex.
Me, yes.
He lives near the mailboxes.
By the way, well, you look like you're in fucking like college right now. Like I'm packing for college and shit in the background.
Look, I'm used to doing this at Mike's house now. I'm used to having like Carol in the background instead of this.
Well, that's probably going to become a recurring theme again. So
yeah.
Okay. Top number 2. This is gonna be mine. So this week, there was a discussion. The internet community went fucking insane over some comments that Nick Khan made. Now, what I found out is that these comments were made with Nick Khan back in April, not recently, but in April on the Colin Cowherd show. Here's a piece of what he was talking about in terms of the WWE, whether should be considered a wrestling company. Here's his quick 30-second clip.
Go. It's not a wrestling company. In fact, we don't use that term here. It's sports entertainment. It's World Wrestling Entertainment, which obviously makes up for WWE. So yes, we see it as a company no different than any other entertainment company.
Okay, so that comment, of course, that came out this week, and of course the IWC went in a fucking tizzy about it. I want to hear you guys feedback on this because I think they're making a big deal of nothing. Because as far as I know, we never looked at WWE as just a wrestling company in fucking almost 40 years. Honestly, think about it. They've always been more than just a wrestling company, and I think people took these comments way too seriously. I don't know. Where are you guys on this topic? Because it's been a big fucking topic all week long.
So, okay, I remember not that long ago, a few months ago, I was very high one day on weed. I was smoking the ganja. I was doing the RVD, the Matt Riddle, and I remember having a moment of clarity, and I remember even telling this to you guys. It was the same day that I finally understood the Fiend storyline with Randy Orton, where it was like really just a horror movie, and that's why it was okay that the Fiend lost at WrestleMania. It was that same day, and it was that day watching SmackDown. I think it might have been like, I don't remember if it was like because of something, watching like the first episode from the pandemic or something like that. But it occurred to me that all these shows are, particularly WWE shows, are a production about a wrestling show. And if you look at it from that standpoint, it's a lot more forgiving and it's a lot more entertaining, because you're not looking at it as real competition. You're looking at it as these are actors portraying characters on a show about pro wrestling. That does not make it, in fact itself, a pro wrestling company. That's like saying that Marvel is a superhero company. They're not. They're a production company that makes movies about superheroes.
That's a great point, Joe. That's a great point.
That's what WWE is. WWE is a production company that makes programming about pro wrestling.
Yeah.
They are not factually themselves a pro wrestling company. And that's where a lot of people get really confused and get really muddled up, and then get into all these debates about what WWE is doing and not doing, how good the ring work is and it isn't, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, it's a show about wrestling. And if you look at it like that, you give it a lot more leeway, which I think is fair, honestly.
It's being made a big deal, and people say, "Oh, but it has wrestling in the name." It does have, well, also has entertainment too.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, too, like, this is, like you said, also, this isn't news. Vince McMahon literally, in a movie back in 1999 or whenever it was, a big movie, a movie that, like, was in theaters and stuff, Beyond the Mat, stood there in front of the camera and said the exact words, "We make movies." Like, he has been aware of what he's been doing for a very long time. Now, granted, for most of that time, it felt mostly like they were doing wrestling. That was a means to an end. That was getting them to the place that they are now. They're a big company. They're a conglomerate. And that's why, like, look, AEW is putting on a wrestling show. AEW is pro wrestling. Independent wrestling, those companies where they're out there and guys are going in the ring and performing for a hot dog and a handshake, that's pro wrestling. WWE is such a bigger production. It's such a next level thing that if you're just looking at it as pro wrestling, you're diminishing what it actually is, which is, at the end of the day, a big production about pro wrestling.
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, I would say that I'm with Joe on everything he said. This has been very vocal that this is an entertainment company, an entertainment thing. We don't like, yeah, our entertainment art form is wrestling, but we also do video packages and entrances and fireworks and stuff like that. It's like they're definitely what I would agree with Joe. They're a promotion company, and they're like a media conglomerate. They're not a wrestling company. Like, if you look up wrestling company, to me, like, that's Ring of Honor. That's
Yes.
Right.
Even like Impact Wrestling. Like, they have a very generic entranceway with a video package at the beginning, and like it's wrestling. Like, they have some storylines, but not as many as like wrestling entertainment. Not even as many as like AEW. Like,
True.
AEW has become very like cliche in the like, oh, we're gonna have a feud where, you know, this guy was picking on this guy, and now we're going to have a coffin match. I'm sorry. There's no person that's going to have a wrestling match where the person ends up in a coffin.
Yeah, no, like, you're not
That's
having
entertainment.
Like, UFC 300 isn't going to have, maybe McGregor. I can see McGregor challenging someone to a casket match in UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that man's brand is a version of entertainment. He makes no qualms about what he's doing. Also, there's a reason why he was being interviewed with his leg fucking hanging off in the middle of the octagon after his last fight. You know, he's a performer as much as, and he's one of those guys that we've all said wouldn't shock us if he ended up in WWE one day. There's a reason for that.
You didn't nail the head, Joe. And an analogy you use with Marvel, for example, was perfect.
I mean, because it's the truth. Like, at the end of the day, they're just making productions, and they're damn good at it too. And you know what? Okay, there is one aspect of WWE that is actually pro wrestling, and that's NXT. And that's the one that Vince doesn't really run. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, if he wanted something from it, it's still his company. But that Triple H is running it. Shawn Michaels is there helping him. William Regal is there. There's a reason why a guy like William Regal, who never actually really made it to be that successful in WWE, even in WCW or anything, is considered basically a god in NXT because he's an amazing pro wrestler, and that's the pro wrestling leg of this company. And that's why it's also the reason why half the guys, when they get called off of NXT and they go up to the quote unquote big leagues, don't actually succeed. Because it's like taking someone from the community theater and then casting them in the next Thor. You know, it doesn't actually equal out to be what they were doing. So
Why are wrestling fans, especially internet wrestling fans, so fucking sensitive? Why can't I see things more broad? This is
I don't have a good answer for that, but it's a fair question. And the thing is, like, look, I mean, for people like Mike and I, we've been dealing with that since like the year 2002. Like, I'm like, I don't know when you joined the Ring of Honor message board. I know that I was like part of the original one in 2002 or so.
Right.
And I remember even.
Huh? That was shortly after.
Okay. I even remember posting on, like, I remember One Wrestling that before all those guys left Bob Ryder's site and they made PW Insider, there was onewrestling.com. Mm-hmm. They had a message board that had one of the boards on it was literally called like the Smart Marks board or the Smarks board or whatever it was. And that was this. Even back then, it was people posting things being like, oh my God, I can't believe Triple H beat this person. Oh my God, I can't believe Goldberg's on Raw. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Wrestling fans have always complained. This has always been a thing. My question actually is, and I'll never know this because I didn't live through it and I don't know anyone who I could ask who has. I would love to know what it was like in the 80s or the 70s or like not the 60s, probably not because it was taken a lot more as like actual like serious stuff.
Combat.
But like, I would love to know, like, were people gathering together at like tape trader conventions being like, oh man, did you see that Saturday night's main event? Yeah, that was fucking stupid. Like, we don't know that those two referees are really brothers. Oh, we're supposed to think that the one had surgery. How fucking dumb do they think we are? Like, was that a thing? Or were fans just more willing to let go?
So it wasn't mass numbers like it is now, obviously, for obvious reasons, because of the access.
Right.
I don't think the reason why we have the issue. I think it's because there's a lot of fans that feel that by taking over shows or hashtags or something like that is going to get them what they want. I think it's the self-entitlement era that we live in, where it's like, you didn't give us what we wanted, so we're going to boo. It's like going to a wrestling show and having a CM Punk cheer because, like, you like CM Punk. Joe can attest to this. The last 3 WrestleManias that we've gone to, there's been a CM Punk chant come up. And all 3 of the times, I proceeded to stand up and yell, he's not coming back. Shut the fuck
up. Yeah.
Shit, I'd be annoyed as hell too if I heard that crap year after year after year.
But I mean, it's been so, and I love Punk. I'm one of the biggest Punk supporters in the world. Same. So, for me to stand up and go, he is not coming back here. Like, let the guys that are actually like performing for us perform. Like, stop shitting on a Cesaro versus Sheamus match because you want to chant for CM Punk.
Tell me about it.
Right.
Tell me about it.
I think that's because he's our guy. He left because he was standing up to the man. Yeah.
I will say though, Nick Khan being the guy to say this though, considering what he's been, responsible for, cutting the fat off the WWE roster and whatnot.
Stop. Nick Khan does not make that fucking decision.
No. What I'm saying though, but he's the one taking the fucking swords. He's getting the hits.
Yes, which is again the internet wrestling community being stupid because he does not sign the fucking checks. He does not make the decision on who gets fired and who keeps their fucking job. Like,
saying that,
you know what else also too?
It's like
But also at the end of the day, Nick Khan doesn't give a fuck.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't give a fuck.
Look, you know who cares? You know who cares what Dave Meltzer says? You know who cares sometimes what the internet wrestling fans say? You know who's probably out there actually like reading the message boards or like, reading Twitter and all that stuff?
Kenny
the
Omega?
Wrestlers. Huh?
Kenny
Kenny
Omega.
Omega. He said Kenny Omega.
Yeah, we don't know exactly. Guys like Kenny Omega, guys like Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson. Like, there's probably even some guys in WWE. I feel like Seth Rollins might be one of those guys, you know? There's people, AJ Styles. There are wrestlers because they're the performers. They want to know what's being said. They want to know what kind of feedback they're getting and stuff. Nick Khan is an executive. Nick Khan gets to sleep on a ridiculous thread count of sheets every night because he's making a buttload of money to basically do exactly what he's doing. He doesn't give a fuck what you think. He doesn't give a fuck what any of us think. We don't affect his job. That's like us going to like whatever the job that you guys work at and walking into the HR department and booing whoever's in charge of signing the checks. He doesn't care. He doesn't even know who the fuck you are. So, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm sorry, Nick Khan, it's not like Nick Khan's going to suddenly show up on Raw and be a talent. You know, like, that's not a thing. So, you know.
You mean he's not going to be the new Mr. McMahon?
No, he's really just not. He's not even trying to be, like, dorky-ass Tony Khan in fucking AEW. I'm going to say this, though, Mike. You should be glad that you weren't over the other night while we were watching Black Widow, because I definitely stood up in midway through the movie and started saying, we want Chris Evans. So, like, you would have just been annoyed.
Probably. I would have yelled, he's not showing up.
Yep.
Down.
All right. Before we get to our next topic, Joe, it's just your time. What do you love this week?
I'm going to make it real quick because, you know, we're on the clock here.
Okay.
Matt Cardona, you broke the internet, which apparently, you know, Nick Khan is really good at doing. But, like, you did it for more positive reasons. And you had shit thrown at you. And Dave Meltzer had a fucking tizzy fit. His panties are so far up his ass, they've got 12 stars. And a couple of skid marks. All I'm saying is, Matt Cardona, you did it. You're living your dream. Suddenly, you are like one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling. And it only took you getting fired from WWE after being wasted for years and years and years. And it only took you showing up in a company and having a match, a company that, like, few people have even really, like, ever watched, let alone heard of, other than their actual fan base. All of a sudden, they're in the conversation because of you. And you did it in a kind of match that you probably never thought you'd actually have. And you know what? You kind of did it really well. You did it well enough where the three of us are paying attention to it. And I never paid attention to Game Changer Wrestling before. I barely ever paid attention to Matt Cardona before. So all I'm saying is, way to do the thing where instead of being in the top company in the world, you went in the opposite direction and somehow ended up being like one of the top guys in the profession. Matt Cardona, I love that for you.
This is kind of my favorite topic, my favorite segment of the show now. I love Joe. Come on, Joe.
It's a double dose of Joe because now it's my topic.
The AJ Lee one was good last week too, by the way, for the record.
That was a fun one. I enjoyed that one.
Really so. All right, Joe, it's just yours. Bring it home.
So, okay, actually, this ties into Mike's topic a little bit earlier. You know, everyone's talking about Bryan and Punk showing up in AEW possibly. And last week we were talking about that, and Mike brought up how, like, okay, if these guys show up, who's losing their spots? Who's all of a sudden not getting pushed as much? And you know what? We also know, like, Nick Gage is probably getting signed. We've recently had Christian Cage get signed. We had Andrade get signed. You have Malachi Black showing up. All these guys, the roster, I think Mike and I were looking at it the other day, and the roster has literally over 100 people on it right now in AEW, which is kind of crazy when you actually think about it. Because WWE probably has a similar number, but WWE has 3 different brands where different guys are being pushed and all of that. AEW is all one big conglomerate with somehow like 100 in-ring performers just at the ready. So here's my question to you guys. Instead of looking at it as who's going to lose their push, instead of looking at it as should Punk and Bryan come in, should they not come in, blah, blah, let's just assume that that's happening. Let's assume that all those guys are coming in. Who are you letting go from the roster? What 5 AEW wrestlers are you saying, see ya, you guys, you've had 2 years, you've had 1 year, however long you've been signed for, you're not doing it, you're not stepping up to the plate, we just don't need you anymore, and we'd rather spend the time and money on CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. So, who are your 5 guys from AEW that you're going to just say goodbye to? Who are you going to Nick Khan out of AEW?
You know, this is harder than I thought because even
That's
though
what she said.
She did say that. She really did. Even though like you can look at the roster, it's a bloated roster. Number one, there's so much to look at. So many people look at this. It's a fucking big ass roster. You can pick and choose where you want it. But I want to pick some people that are actually people who actually have gotten TV time, and then nothing's happened with it. I mean, even if it was minor TV time on Dark to some degree. Now Rose. It's a, I told you last week that shit died the day the fucking Dynamite launched.
That's fair.
Wait, the minute they gave Rhea the title over her, she was done, and nothing's gonna work for that at this point. So she's done. Number 2, Joey Janela.
I forgot he was even on the roster still.
He's just there. That's it. I mean, I think
he's not even there.
He's on an injury, doesn't he? Some shit like that.
Oh no.
This is gonna surprise you a little bit because he's actually pretty active, somewhat active on the roster because he's on a faction. Jake Hager. What does he do? Like he hasn't done anything there. Like he got a little blip of a push like early last year. He got a title shot against Moxley, I think, in February last year, and then that's it. That's it.
I agree with you on that. I considered him for my list too.
I would have done more research on this if I had more time to look us over. So this is really just on a blip because again the fucking roster is huge. And I love this guy. He's a legend. But both guns, the guns.
No, I love the Gun Club.
I think we'll see Mr. Ass, and I get all that. It's whatever, but I don't know. I mean, I don't want to do this. I mean, maybe I'll find someone else in the roster later on, and I'll probably replace them. But right now, the gun father son duo.
Okay.
So that's my 5 right there.
Mike.
Trying to confirm that these are the 5 that I want to use.
I believe in you.
It's a little, Mike.
Well, I'm gonna have to take the easy way out here and get rid of like Michael Nakazawa.
But that I would have picked Brandon Cutler also too. But I think he's being used, even though he's not really anything. He's being used in some way.
Well, he's never getting cut because he's best friends with Young Bucks.
I mean, right.
Yeah, it's the only reason he even has a job there.
Yeah,
that's why he didn't make my list.
Right.
Yeah, like Sean Dean, who's like on AEW Dark every week, who's 1-10, but is signed under a contract. But like that doesn't make sense to like release them because they're not really getting like on air TV time.
Right.
So that being said, I actually have a pick that Ernest had. I had Nyla Rose on my list.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like that's fair, and I hate to say it because I do like her a lot, but they've done so much damage to her at this point. I don't know that you can rebuild her. I think at a certain point you throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like
yeah. She's damaged.
Yeah.
So I would have her exit stage left. Well, I'm gonna definitely get rid of one member of the Hardy family order, and that is Jack Evans.
You're fired.
I like Jack Evans, but I kind of just like Angelico doing his own thing more.
Right.
Because Jack Evans is like not really around.
He's really not. I don't know if he's injured right now or something, but
I saw his name. Like, I think I know you. I think.
The next one may surprise you a small bit. He actually made a debut on a pay-per-view. It was supposed to be a big get for them. And he kind of like it's fizzled out to me, and that is Matt Sydal.
You're fired.
No, I can see that. He's one of those guys who he did have his WWE run. He was kind of ahead of his time at the time. But yeah, he doesn't really do anything in AEW.
No, he really doesn't. He's kind of like the guy that like is the stepping stone to whoever's next.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. It's like they use him like he's more famous than he actually is, but then they don't push him like he's at all famous.
He had a good match against somebody. That wasn't Andrade. Who was it? Was it Andrade?
Yeah. It was an okay match.
We were there for that shit, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were there.
It's a great match, but he's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
My fourth name will maybe come as a surprise to some of you. I'm not sure if it will or not. I don't know what they're doing with this guy, so I guess that's my confusion here. I don't really want to use him. I was leaning towards potentially naming a member of the Dark Order, but I'm going to stay with the Dark Order. I mean, I don't think that I could say get rid of Christopher Daniels because he's pretty much become a producer now that he's done with SCU.
Yeah.
Guess real quick. I actually did consider somebody in Dark Order.
Who?
Was it Colt Cabana?
No.
Okay.
I was going to say to get rid of 5.
Oh.
You're fired.
I love 5, but at this point, the Dark Order, like, he's like the.
But then you throw all the numbers off.
That's true.
I know.
Serve purpose, don't they? Somewhat.
No, they do all have a meaning. This is a lot harder than I was actually thinking that it was going to be.
She did say that too. For the record. Just saying.
I would probably. Oh yeah, I don't know that I can do that though. I'm just going back and forth on. Yeah, fuck it.
Who are you up to, 4 or 5?
This is 5th one. This is the last one.
Oh, it's 5. Then I won't release the tag team that I was considering.
Who was it?
You know what? I'm going to shock you guys here. I'm going to take the big man of the Pinnacle.
Hager. No, not Hager. He goes the other one. Wardlow.
You doing it, Mikey?
Fuck it, no, Sean Spears. Fuck that guy.
You're fired.
You know, he is another one who's been there since almost day one, and it feels like they never, like, he's a start and stop.
Well, I'll tell you what.
The Scorpio Sky.
I'll tell you what. Pinnacle saved him right now. To be honest, this faction saved his ass. It gave him something to do.
Yeah.
All right.
When you look at it, he's the equivalent of Paul Roma in the Four Horsemen.
No, of course. No, I agree 100%.
All right. I've got my 5 for you guys. You ready? All right. So fun. Ironically enough, you guys just kind of mentioned him a little bit, but he was not on either one of your lists. Colt Cabana, out of here. I love the guy. I think the guy's amazing. I don't know what he's doing in AEW. He's not. He hardly ever wrestles. He's not really doing anything worthwhile. It made sense when he was in the Dark Order when Brody was there and they were building that storyline with them. But since Brody's been gone, unfortunately, they really haven't utilized Colt Cabana in any kind of way. And the thing is, for some of us who have been fans of his since 2002, 2003, he's a legit veteran in the company. You take advantage of that. He should be positioned in a way that I'm not saying he should be winning matches the way Christian Cage does, but he should be positioned at least the way Christopher Daniels was, and he's not. He's just literally there. So Colt Cabana, adios. All right, my next 3 are all from Matt Hardy's little group. Believe it or not.
If you touch those 2 guys, we're gonna have problems. Go ahead. What was it?
Well, first of all, I'm also with Mike. Jack Evans, I don't need you here. He's another one, kind of a veteran of the business, been around forever. I don't know what he's doing right now in AEW. He feels like he doesn't fit in with anything else going on in the company. I don't like their look. I don't like the fact that they really never even have any great matches anymore. They had a couple of really good tag matches with the Young Bucks and stuff once upon a time, but it's not gone anywhere. And honestly, I feel like the Matt Hardy group is basically we don't know what else to do with these guys, so let's just put them all together group. It's never been more obvious, and I hate it. So Jack Evans, gone. And you know what? Take your buddy Angelico with you. That's my 2 and 3. I don't need either one of them. I'm sorry. I don't like them in that group. I don't like what they're doing. Now, granted, if you change their gimmick a little bit, if you had them, the way they've done with Private Party, where they have them now dressing almost like throwbacks to the Hardy Boys, but with a little bit of a club flair to it. If you do something like that with them,
I would get rid of Private Party before I got rid of Angelico.
Oh, no, I love Private Party. I'm here for Private Party. It's not just because they're hot.
Angelico is 4 times the wrestler that either one of them combined is.
I feel like that was true. 5 years ago. I don't feel like it's true anymore.
Private Party hasn't done a goddamn thing.
They wrestled last night. So did Angelico, to be fair. But
that's my point. You're literally sitting here trying to sell me on Angelico, and you're telling me that the most over thing that Private Party's done is just like the Hardy Boys from 1999.
All I'm saying, for my personal taste, I don't find Angelico to be that impressive. He looks like he's just fucking high on meth all the time, and that doesn't do anything for me. I mean, I get it. You're from Florida, whatever. So anyway,
Garbage.
my number 4 guy is also from the Matt Hardy brand, and it is in fact Matt Hardy. I think that he's useless in AEW. I think that he was a get for them before they actually started getting guys that are what Matt Hardy only ever aspired to be. Once you were able to sign Christian Cage, once you were able to sign Andrade, now that you might have Punk coming in and Bryan coming in, Matt Hardy no longer feels like the potential main eventer that he did a year and a half ago when he finally showed up and they had him sort of feud with Chris Jericho, even though it went nowhere. I don't like that he's gone through so many different characterizations. I don't like this Matt Hardy brand thing. It doesn't actually feel like it fits him whatsoever. So at the end of the day, I'm ready to just cut bait and say sayonara to Matt Hardy. That's me personally. I don't hate the guy. I don't dislike the guy. But I don't know why he's here, and he's just a waste of space, in my opinion, in AEW's roster right now. Last but certainly not least, I'm gonna pick a woman, and it's gonna be Rio. I'm sorry, Ernest.
I almost fired her also too. No, she was on my list too. People want.
Didn't they announce not that long ago that she was like gonna be full-time part of the roster? I don't think she's appeared since.
Plus, she did the dark match when we were
wrestled at dark when we were.
But
that's it.
I got a new crush anyway too. Thunder Rose is my new crush anyway, so it doesn't matter. Go.
I mean, all I'm saying is Rio feels like another one of those talents where it's like they tried to strap the rocket ship to her and she crashed into a wall. And at a certain point,
the wall
you just let go.
It's called COVID though. The wall's called COVID. It's absolutely. I mean, she stopped. But
I mean, but now she's here. She's supposedly here full time now, but she's still not getting used at all. And at the end of the day, she's still 4'7" and 105 pounds. She's not believable against anyone they have.
Roster that I'd cut first.
Huh?
I could pick 5 other females from that roster right now that I'd cut before her.
I mean, yeah, no. I'm not saying that there's not other women who aren't like less talented than she is, but at the end of the day, I feel like she's another one like in the same realm as Nyla Rose, where it's like, all right, you've already shown me everything that you're planning on doing with her, and I'm not impressed. So, like, let's just cut bait. And I'd rather see them start to push some of those other women who at least don't already have the tarnish that she has on her.
So you'd rather them push the Allie's, Penelope Ford's,
not terrible, but I guess what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would, though. I would actually rather see them, honestly.
No. All right, we got a couple minutes because Mike has to go back to work. So let's get to the quick news dump before we get out of here first. News WWE, reports. Reportedly, the WWE has plans to hold the finals of a rumored Queen of the Ring tournament in Saudi Arabia in October.
No.
I didn't even know that they could do that in Saudi Arabia.
I was shocked. That's what I was saying. So, like, really? We're doing Saudi now? Like, we're able to do that now? This soon? Crazy.
Yeah, no, that's I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I feel like it's gonna really limit a lot about that. It makes the whole thing less exciting.
I don't think it's gonna happen. COVID's happening again, so we're gonna shut down. So
yeah. Also, Tony Khan was interviewed by the New York Post about the rumors about Daniel Bryan, CM Punk joining AEW, basically saying, "quote I have no comment on those. Those are good questions, but I can't comment on those." When pressed further about Punk and Bryan, Khan added, "I can't comment on those two guys, but I think there's certainly a lot of exciting rumors right now."
See, that's again one of those things where it's like he's not saying anything, but he's saying everything because he's feeding into it at least a little bit.
He's winking the whole fucking thing, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very nice. You know what I mean? He's just winking the whole fucking thing. And last night's AEW Dynamite, another million spot for Dynamite, 1.11 ratings. Fourth best rated Dynamite show ever. Look,
what did Raw do this week?
I don't know. I didn't check the numbers yet for Raw. But my point, and it's funny. Brian Alvarez actually replied to me when I said this to him. Because I was saying ratings are overrated, but overall, this is a sign that their show. I mean, we talked about this last week too, and I think a couple weeks before that as well. This is a sign that their product is now starting to really get its groove, and now people are starting to tune in week to week. Now I got to the point now where I'm actually watching Dynamite now live as opposed to waiting the next day to watch it. This is now 2 weeks in a row I've done that now. Actually, technically 3 or 4 weeks. The first week I went to the fucking show, and then 2 weeks later I went and watched it live. So, I don't. I mean, the ratings they hit $1 million, $1 million over the ratings now, week to week. Now this is starting to become a thing now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's amazing for them. And like you said, like, look, it's not the late 90s. It's not even the early 2000s. The ratings don't matter the way we all like to say they do. It's another one of those things that wrestling fans make more of a big deal out of than anyone else should or does. But I don't know. It's still kind of fun to talk about, right?
Yeah, I guess it is some degree. It is overrated. People on Twitter say, "Oh, it does matter." I didn't say it doesn't matter. I just say we overrated. That's all I'm saying. People don't know what the word fucking overrated means. It doesn't mean it doesn't matter.
This is an interesting thing that I'm reading right now.
Okay, what's up?
It was said that Karrion Kross was supposed to lose to Jeff Hardy on the episode of Raw this past week. He ended up beating Keith Lee after Jeff Hardy tested positive for COVID.
So a rematch again, basically. But
yeah, well, the rumor has it though is that Kross was going to lose to Hardy because this was going to be the storyline on how we get Scarlett to the main roster. That Scarlett was going to be the one that was going to be able to unleash the monster inside of Karrion Kross. Which I think would have been entertaining actually.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So wait, does that mean now they have no idea how they're going to get Scarlett there?
No, I just think she's going to end up showing up there now that he's won a match. But with the Hardy situation,
that's less effective.
That's what I'm saying. With the Hardy situation, where he if he loses like 2 or 3 weeks in a row to Hardy, and he shows up and he goes out there and like decimates him in like 3.5 minutes, like it's like, oh, okay. And then he just runs through people for the next like month.
Right.
It makes me wonder why they didn't just have Keith Lee beat him. Like what? Why not? Why did they change that course?
Because he won the world title.
You could have still had the same storyline.
Keith Lee is probably going to be worth an episode at some point in the next couple of weeks because he says.
I was going to say maybe because he beat Keith Lee for the NXT title.
Yeah, but I mean, so Keith Lee gets his win back, and you still continue this storyline with Kross losing, which I guess fans would have shit on, but at least like you said, like it possibly was leading somewhere that made sense. Which again goes to show you why it's annoying when all the fans like jump to so many conclusions. They're just like, oh my God, they're burying Karrion Kross because he lost to Jeff Hardy. But it's like, you give it time and you watch over a couple of weeks and it might lead somewhere because that would have been really cool.
Mike has 1 minute to go, so let's plug away if we get in this podcast. Mike.
At They Call Me Burn, and the show's at Take 3 Wrestling.
Joe.
I don't do my own plugs.
Jesus Christ, he's so lazy. I'm joking, of course. Is it J-Lo Sugar? It's funny.
Like that.
Your name and then your actual Twitter name is actually reversed.
Yes.
Got issues, brother. I love it. Of course, I'm on Twitter, EasyPitch7. All social medias, of course, Take the Wrestling on Instagram, on Facebook, on what am I missing? Twitter. That's it. All right, guys. Short show today. Loved it.
Okay, bye.
Bye.